Hi, boys and girls. Welcome to your lesson 3 of Unit 6. So this is our third lesson. We're moving quite quickly and swiftly through these lessons, right? I hope that you've been enjoying just the beginning of our wonderful lesson and unit that we've learned about so far. So if you read yesterday, you know that we talked about the printing press and how that impacted and influenced such change during the Middle Ages before the beginning of the Reformation, as well as the first day that we in our unit 1, our lesson 1, we learned about the power of the church, how they grew in power over time, as well as the printing press, how it was created. So today we're going to see the influence and practices of the church. And remember, when we talk about the church, we're not talking about a specific building, but the Catholic Church and the group of the leaders within that church. Okay, before we even start on our lesson and before we even go into our reading, I want you to take the time and put some things that you wonder about the influence and practice of the church. So when you read that title of that chapter, what are you thinking? What do you wonder about? So you're just going to write at least 3 things here, okay? Now, boys and girls, let's look at our cup. What we're going to know, understand, and be able to do. So we will know how to quote accurately from a text. So we're going to be able to know how to take information and quote it exactly how it is in the text. Then we're going to be able to determine the central idea, the most important idea of the text, and be able to explain how it's supported by the key details and the certain things throughout the reading that gives us support to summarize the text, and then explain the relationships and interactions among 2 individual events and other ideas. So how those relationships contribute to the overall meaning and summary of the text. Okay, so that is what we're going to be able to do. It's always good to know what our goal is before we even go into the lesson, so we know what we're trying to do and we have something to work towards. The review. So like Ms. Rogers said, we're going to talk about, again, before we go into the lesson, start reviewing over what we learned so far. So an empire existed throughout Europe for a long time. Which empire was that much unified and confident? What was that? The European Empire. Okay, after the Okay, Miss Rogers, slow down. It was not the European Empire, it was the Roman Empire. And after the Roman Empire fell apart, the church became more powerful in Europe. But then, guys, remember we learned about this in our lesson 1. The two parts of the two church split in parts of 2. So it was the Orthodox Church and the Catholic Church. Which of those were located in the western part of Europe, which was based in Europe and was based in Rome? Right? Wasn't it the Orthodox or Eastern Church, right? What adjectives would you use to describe the Catholic Church during the Middle Ages and the Renaissance movement? And let's think about the invention of Gutenberg's printing press. How did that change every day? So we talked about that yesterday. We know that his printing press allowed us to have access to the books that we have today. And we know that the Catholic Church became powerful during the Middle Ages and Renaissance movement. Okay, boys and girls, so we're going to read our new chapter, and go ahead and dive into that. Okay, setting the stage to reform. So our big questions: how did some people believe the church needed to be reformed during the 1400s and 1450s? So reformed, what does that word mean? Reformed. So we know that form means to shape, to bring together. Re means to do it again. So we to redo something, reform it, reshape it. Make it again, redo it, right? So how did the people think that the church needed to be improved or changed during the 14 and 1500s? So let's see. Gutenberg's print press did change the world, at least the European world. But before we could talk about the changes that took place in Europe in the 1500s, let's journey further back in time. You may remember that after the fall of Rome in 476 CE, there was no longer a strong government to settle. Okay, boys and girls, because we're almost out of time, Ms. Rogers is going to stop and we're going to pick back up in the next video.